Welcome to Own It, the podcast where we talk to real estate thought leaders about embracing your strengths, taking your career to new heights, and owning your future. I'm Hillary Saunders, joined today by my tech-forward co-host, Spencer Kroll.
Wow.
Hi, Spencer.
Hi, Hillary. What a terrible description, but that's okay.
I know. Wasn't that a good one?
It was pretty good. I just figured out what USB is. So thank you. I'm so tech-forward. Thank you.
And it's not the University of Santa Barbara. So
no,
we are going to bring on two very tech-forward and industry-shaking people that I think we're going to have a great conversation about disrupting the real estate space, which is near and dear to our heart. So Will Grewal and Robert Arauco, they do it?
You did it.
Yes, with the rolled R too. Welcome, gentlemen. Guys from HomeStack. You guys are just blowing up everywhere right now, which is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a pleasure to be here. Excited to go over what HomeStack can offer.
I want to just start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
What is HomeStack? How does it disrupt our real estate space? And where did it come from?
Yeah, it's funny how sometimes the worst circumstances can lead to the best opportunities in life. And during kind of the great financial crisis, our founding team was just getting out of college. I mean, we're talking 2008 to 2013. Odds of landing a job, 1 out of 10. Odds of landing a job that you love, undefined, 1 in a million. And so I think the beauty here is that this natural constraint led to a ton of innovation and really kind of this entrepreneurial renaissance. And so kind of what HomeStack is, a mobile-first Proptech company, and we build white-labeled apps for real estate agents, teams, and brokerages.
So we have from that innovation into straight to consumer, right? So it's bridging the gap, so to speak, from the professional realtor, agent, or company to their consumer and getting the consumer into their world. And so where did the idea even come from? Were you in real estate?
Yeah, so my business partner and co-founder is a third-generation real estate agent, and we both have a really strong technical background. And of course, hindsight's 2020, but we both had this clear conviction from the get-go that Apple and Google were going to really pioneer the way business was done today. And mobile was going to be an absolute game changer. And so when you combine the internet and smartphones, we just placed a really, really big bet on mobile being this massive multiplier to give consumers real-time information.
Were there other apps out there that were on phones and stuff when you were starting?
Yeah. I think there was this glaring gap when it came to like consumer experience. So I think what the portals got right, and these are kind of bad words, right? Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, oh my, right? So I think what the portals got right is that they empowered and they gave consumers data right in the palm of their hands. People loved zigging, people love zagging, people love pinching and zooming, favoriting properties, seeing the animation of that heart that overlapped the photos. Now, there were a few things that kind of went wrong with a few of these solutions. One, stale listing data, right? So many consumers were receiving listings that had been pre-foreclosed or no longer on the market. They were also littered with inaccurate information or kind of a suboptimal user experience when it came to displaying premier and preferred agents. So it was creating this really weird disconnect between consumers and trust when it came to the real estate professional. So what we wanted to kind of set foot and move forward doing, build a stylish and impactful app that looks modern just like the portals, really solve those problems. One, direct connection to the MLS. So all listing information and data is 100% pure. That's a pillar here at HomeStack. And then 2, create a safe ecosystem where your agents know that you're the only point of contact amongst this journey from discovery to close.
What do you mean by point of contact? I'm just curious. What is that?
Yeah, so one of the things that we learned really early on is that there's so many details that go into place in regards to communication, and you're getting text messages, you're getting calls. I can't tell you how many stories that I've heard with someone who was using one of the portals, They search a property and they receive 50 phone calls from lenders, from other agents trying to solicit their business. And so one of the things that we learned really early on is in order to have this pure transaction and innate trust during the process, we make sure that the agent who shares the application is the only point of contact throughout the entire journey. Call, text, email, chat, creating this sense of trust that I think has been lacking in the space up to this point. And most importantly, transparency during the entire process from discovery to close.
I think that's one thing as a consumer, it's really hard to understand how everything works together or doesn't work together, because you can search on a portal like Zillow and filter things, but you don't know if the agent who's coming up in your view is the actual agent who's listing the property, or did they pay to be put there, right? Because the consumer doesn't know that. We in the industry know that, but that's one really good hurdle that you guys overcame. As you were starting out, what did you find difficult about the different markets? Because you guys are servicing agents across the country similar to what we're doing. And I know our journey was very up and down, depending on which market you go into, which MLS you are trying to partner with. How was that experience for you guys, and what did you overcome doing that?
We learned a lot. I think as Tom Ferry puts it, every market has a market. And each MLS is built and unique on archaic standards. And don't get me wrong, like I'm not here wanting to bash the MLSs. I think what the US real estate market does is better than any of the other real estate markets in the entire world. But what I will say is standardization is so important, cutting red tape, being able to normalize the data. And so kind of early on when we embarked on our journey, it was more of a methodical growth process, land and expand. You find maybe your 20 key markets and go deep in those markets rather than wide. I think one of the biggest values and kind of one of the things that we've learned kind of as a company was really our scaling process. Fast forward to today, we power data for north of 95% of the country. And once you start to kind of learn the playbook, you're able to really just copy, paste, codify, grow, and be able to scale and enable technology to the masses. And so I'd say the early challenges were just going from MLS to MLS, going through their compliance process, getting audited, being a pioneer in the space too. We were introducing technology that was very, very new that no one's seen before. And so they were holding us to actually legacy standardizations that maybe website providers had to go through. When in reality, a mobile phone has kind of a 5-inch by 3-inch type of surface. And it was kind of archaic to being held to those legacy standards. And so there was a lot of growing pains trying to fit in this box that was completely irrelevant to what we were building towards.
So I was going to ask what markets you're in, but now you're saying 95%. What markets are you not in? And if so, is that a tech no? I mean, is that a tech hurdle that you're not in those markets?
It's really just demand as you go, right? Like if we end up getting an inbound lead in a rural area that may have an MLS that's just not in our network, we can still service that and onboard that MLS within a week. Obviously, if they answer their emails, right, maybe take 2 or 3 weeks, but it's only because like our focus as a sales unit or whatever it may be is like, all right, we need to hit Texas, California, Florida, some of these major markets first, expand from there. But most of our efforts from like marketing and like our referral network are generated from these main areas, but they tend to leak into these other areas because there's top teams everywhere. There's top brokerages everywhere. It's really a matter of opportunity and bandwidth for us.
When we started this company, there's 900 plus MLSs.
Yeah.
There's been an insane amount of consolidation, which I think is super healthy for the entire industry. And really what we've learned is there's just this long tail of diminishing returns. So kind of to our point earlier, bringing on north of 200 MLSs, that's 95% of the country. What does that tell you? It tells you that there's another 300 plus that services about 5% of the country. So, of course, it's not necessarily technical limitations. It's just applying, output versus input, and just kind of seeing how we can best service, the entire industry.
Since you are a very a disruptive, mindset of really bringing the realtor to the consumer and vice versa, and really making the realtor's experience and flavor and uniqueness front and center in their development of the app. Having spoken to a couple of your customers who rave about your product, they were saying one of the pieces that really drew them to you was that they got to customize every inch of their experience. So their client really got their feel
Mm-hmm.
for their company throughout the whole process. What made you go that route? Because I do know from experience that is a little more difficult than just saying, oh, you have one of three options, pick one.
Yeah, yeah. So I think so much of our values kind of, if you take the iceberg analogy, everyone just sees the front end app user experience, and that's kind of the tip of the iceberg. But what we've built underneath the water is this like extremely scalable software like factory in which people can personalize, customize, and differentiate.
Mhm.
And in order to like earn a competitive advantage in the world, you need to do one of two things. You need to be a cost leader. We don't want to be Walmart. Or you need to differentiate and offer choice and tons of differentiation. So like early on, I think the easiest way to like take out incumbents and take over market share is doing things clearly different while delivering value. And so, like a couple examples here, we offer a really cool, unique feature called custom push notifications. And David Higgins and Cush Real Estate do a remarkable job rolling out this technology. And you can use things like headlines, Zillow was wrong again, and then fill that in with a unique CMA as to why the listing property on his estimate was way out in left field. But the engagement is up and to the right, and you get the clicks. We really do dive deep in regards to personalization, color schemes, fonts, branding, and then, of course, additional differentiation. I think, Rob, you had a really, really cool story with Paul the other day.
Oh yeah, Paul Ringon. There is some sort of standardization, right? Like we need the app to look similar to the Zillows and the Redfin so people use it. There are certain elements that like need to be a certain way, but Paul has his custom links, Paul has his custom pushes, and Paul has created extremely creative marketing campaigns around the app. He has a couple videos that he's launched about the app that he's promoted on social media to his database. I think he might have done some YouTube ads around that as well. That basically, when you watch these commercials, it looks sleek, it looks fun, it looks completely personalized to his specific brand. And then he's leveraging talking points around, hey, we're just like the big guys, but here's what's different. We're not in the business of selling your data. This is localized to the Fort Lauderdale market. This is a direct connection to us and the MLS, so the information's accurate. And guess what? When you want to put an offer on a listing or get more information, you just click a button. There's no, bombardment of lenders and realtors calling you. Like, download this app. You're gonna love it. So what's nice is we have agents that real quick that just text it to people, and they average 5 deals a year from texting it to 2 people a week. And then we have those like Paul that get extremely creative. Videos, client events, different things that they're doing, but they're leveraging the app as that connection point to not only differentiate, but to create opportunities for later through the engagement with the app itself.
For those who haven't seen the app, I'm just curious, what does the agent see? Like what makes that a unique experience for the agent as compared to other apps? And I think you've talked a little bit about that, but also what does the consumer see that's going to be different?
Mm-hmm. Well, the consumer, the layout of the buttons is the filters, like the button layout is the same as what they're used to. Again, like people are just, if they've been using Zillow for 5 years, they don't want to relearn something new. So give them something that they know how to use, but then layer on what is different. And one of the features would be on the bottom right, there's a more button. where they can locate these standardized buttons for like save searches, favorites, things like that, but the customized content agent wants them to see. Social media channels, links to their website, links to vendors, links to different things that open internally within the app. So it still allows them to easily add these things, but not drift away from the system. What the agent sees is a combination of that, and then Will can dive a little deeper into like where we're going with the analytics and how AI is going to be incorporated with all of it. But they get a lot more back end data to where it's not just, hey, let me click on a home, call the listing agent to set up a showing. It's, dang, this person's favoriting 3 listings and this and that. And by the way, guys, we natively integrate into Follow Up Boss, so all of that data flows straight into there. We're not forcing agents to use our backend to follow up. It's a native integration that keeps things there so they can just go into that system, but we're notifying them with a push notification that these things are happening.
I wanted to dive in and find out your integrations, because I know that this is a huge pain point and so important for agents who use Follow Up Us or other CRMs out there. And how did you guys decide who to integrate with? And what are you doing on a regular basis to keep ahead of, product adaptations, integrations with other programs? What's your philosophy on that?
Yeah. So tech connectivity, I think, is like a core pillar here at HomeStack. And I think Craig Rowe at Inman, the way he put it, HomeStack is real estate Legos when it comes to development. And one of the things that we love to do is we have to figure out who our ICP is, who is our ideal consumer persona. And those are small boutique growing teams that really like to invest in their workflow. So I think one of the things that we built and we learned on early on was like, it's not a if you build it, they will come situation. It is how can we create a tech stack that operates like the movie Ocean's 11 and just kind of find like a group of specialists. And I'm not saying I want to rob a bank or anything, guys, but when it comes to building true specialists that really kind of own their domain, that's like really within our identity. We want to be the best mobile app development company out there, and we want to partner with the best web, CRM, transaction management companies, top funnel lead gen, and be able to just do our job. And so to your question, Hillary, it's mainly based off of demand. It's funny how when you really start to find product market fit, you start to realize a lot of these companies and a lot of these real estate agents that are winning tend to use similar systems, if you know what I mean.
They go in the same circles and they share, at least the top ones that we work with, they share across the board about leveling up and best practices and how to really change the real estate space for the better for the end consumer. I would love to hear, since you guys have been around for, gosh, 10 years now?
Yeah.
Ish? A
Yeah.
little bit more. I would love to hear what that initial journey was like, and how did you take that leap of faith to start your own company? A lot of our listeners either have started their own companies or are thinking about it, and there's a lot of trepidation usually to just dive into the deep end. How did you get over that fear?
Yeah, so you're right. We're celebrating, I think, like our 13th birthday next year. So excuse us as we enter puberty here. But like, we aren't a new company, but what we're working on today is so new and so fascinating. The opportunity cost, like if you go back to like the origin of the story of starting like during the great financial crisis, like what was our opportunity cost? Like companies weren't hiring, and it was just an opportunity for us to embark on a new journey that we thought was extremely meaningful, that we can drive change. And so like a few of like our core values here at HomeStack, it's like excellence is never an accident. We are extremely intentional with everything we do. And like simply put, if you ask us kind of like what our culture is, we like to work on cool stuff with amazing diverse people and with clients that like to win. But when you actually really kind of like distill like what is our mission, well, it really is to just reinvent the way real estate's done. And so we truly do think mobile is such a remarkable distribution mechanism And when it comes to getting transparency, when it comes to getting real time information, and when it comes to having the medium of some form of collaboration, it's best in breed. It truly is this massive blue ocean. And it was an opportunity that we were very, very comfortable on. We wanted to place a big bet on, and that we went completely all in. So you're right, it was scary. But when you do things with people you love and you win together, it's so much more rewarding.
Yep. And we had Chick-fil-A for free for a whole year.
Wait. Okay, hold on. How did you
Yeah.
get Chick-fil-A? I want a follow-up question on this, but how did you get Chick-fil-A for free?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. This is like pure founder 101. You got a budget. You got a budget. Will, tell us.
So we completely bootstrapped our company. And when you start a company, there's definite sacrifices that take place.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we need to figure out was, well, we need the basics in life. We need food, we need water, we need shelter. Well, my co-founder and I, we moved back in with our parents. We started our company out of the garage. Check. Shelter. We needed food. We found out a hack that if you're one of the first 100 customers at a Chick-fil-A, you can get free Chick-fil-A for a whole entire year. So we found out that there was a Chick-fil-A that was opening up down the street. We camped overnight. We sacrificed 24 hours and we had free Chick-fil-A for a whole entire year. Now, am I proud of this? You bet, absolutely. Like, we were able to kind of place a check mark next to one of the key essentials in life, and that's food. And I can promise you this: if it wasn't for Chick-fil-A, HomeStack doesn't exist today. Shout out Chick-fil-A.
Is this the Chick-fil-A on Thousand Oaks Boulevard across from the Chevy dealership? Is that the one?
Yes, you know exactly where it is.
Yeah, I was number 101 on that line. Damn it! Oh well. But here's a question, and I think Hillary, I think you might know a little bit about wanting to disrupt the industry and change the way that real estate is done. I think you might know a little bit about that. I know that there have been some hiccups along the way with our company as we've implemented stuff. Have there been any surprising pain points for you along the way? Like something where you said, "Wow, I can't believe that's the."
Yeah, no, I think early on, I think one of the things in order just in life, like you have to be willing and able to adapt. And those that adapt with new information are going to be those that win. I think it's important that you can't have anchored biases and preconceived notions and always run the same play when new information is coming your way. So I think early on, I think we thought it was our way of differentiating by working directly just with individual agents. So like we worked with individual agents, and there were a lot of challenges with this. Individual agents are, just some of the toughest and fiercest entrepreneurs, but they don't have the backing and the support to truly scale. And what happens is you only have a finite amount of resources, 24 hours in a day, 168 hours in a week. What's right in front of you, you will work on, and what's not in front of you, you will drop. And so early on, we saw this like massive adoption with individual agents and then certain drop offs. And there was this piece of accountability that we didn't know that we had to codify inside of our solution. And so later on, we decided, you know what? Let's create some smart nudges. Let's create a coaching mechanism based around email alerts, text alerts, push notifications. Did you know Hillary is live on your application right now? Open in chat. So that was a big miss early on. We truly did think like, if you build it, they will come, they will use it. It's the greatest. But really, you need a partner alongside of you to help keep them accountable, to coach them along the journey. And luckily, technology was that silent assassin on our behalf to really help the agent excel. That was just one preconceived notion that we kind of missed on.
That's interesting because, Robert, I want to follow up that concept to you, which is similar to Side being white label. HomeStack, you're putting the realtor, the company, the team forward, right? The consumer has no idea who HomeStack is, nor does, in theory, the general real estate industry other than a handful, right? So what obstacles did you face from the sales perspective in getting HomeStack's name and mission and abilities out there to more people?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's, what I teach my sales guys, like, don't say HomeStack unless they ask who you're with. Because now we're getting the articles written on Inman and these things are happening for us. So the notability is happening, but geez, early on, who are you? HomeSnap? No, we're not HomeSnap. We're HomeStack, stack like paper, right? So it was more of just really relaying the dream. And we were able to land certain accounts that were very notable. Tim Smith, for example, in Newport Beach, guy does, I don't know, 900 million a year in production, right? Tim's always been a guy that was very forward thinking, like, hey, I want to be the first. It makes sense. I got to be on a phone, things like that. So in conversations, it's like, listen, like, I know you may not understand what this is right now, but Tim is doing this to win listing presentations. So at least just hear us out. If you don't want to meet with us, no problem, but let us give you the 1 minute version of what this actually is, right? So that was the hurdle initially. It's just like, what do you mean an app? I don't like downloading apps. Or Zillow's the big dog. Like, why would someone even use my app? Like, Zillow dominates, right? So it's just really kind of just bringing everything back down to like a simple level. It's like, okay, sure, Zillow's a big dog, but everyone uses a phone. I mean, my grandma's on Facebook more than I am. At the time, I didn't have kids, but now I do. So I say, like, my 5-year-old uses YouTube better than I do.
Mhm.
Like, this is a technology that is already adapted by the masses. And you have all these people stuck on systems like the Zillows and the Redfins of the world. So why don't you give them what they want, but then solve problems? And ultimately, outside of the lead gen that this can do, the people that you distribute this to trust you. They trust your brand that you've created. So leveraging, those types of talking points and um, creating the right credibility at the time through name drops was, a big part of how we actually got them to listen.
We're in an age of real estate where a lot of times you don't even see your client. You meet them once and then you're sending everything out via DocuSign or something like that. And so you lose the personal touch there. What I really like about your app is that what Hillary pointed on earlier is that it really goes to the personality of the agent. It's designed that way. And I think that what you're just describing in terms of the engagement tools that you have, that helps create a much more personal relationship. And you mentioned, I guess, integration with social media. So what sort of integrations are you guys looking at in the future? What's the next step on that?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about marketing, and then Will's got all the fun stuff with the AI Terminator stuff. I think Terminator's real, so I'll just leave it there for the world to know. I said it. But yeah, so with social media, we make it easy. It's like, listen, not everyone's tech savvy, but everyone can click a button. You want to post your listing on Facebook? Click a button. You want to post your app on Instagram? Click a button. Write some cool messaging with it. And when you integrate what you're doing on social media and you leverage the push notification to drive traffic there, you're not recreating the wheel. You're copying and pasting what you did somewhere else. You're attaching a link and you're getting a 92% engagement to actually drive traffic to where you want them to be. And going back to the relationship side of things, I mean, that's one of the big parts of social media. It's like, sure, there's an audience there that can, create attraction to certain things, but part of it is like, you want to be able to connect with people on a personal level. And that's where these videos and these things come into play. So sure, leverage social media, but why not leverage your app to drive people there? Because they're doing something else on their phone, and then that gets them there, and that builds a relationship and emotional connection with you, even if you didn't directly talk to them.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of like what we perceive as social media, and this is a phenomenal way to be a primary call to action on all those platforms and get that visibility in the eyeballs and provide relevant content. But one of the interesting angles that we're taking these days in regards to integrations is also with like open APIs with companies like Canva, which is creating really amazing design with the click of your finger. So whether it's through listing presentations, whether it's through just listed, just sold, utilizing your application as your primary call to action on anything that you send out, instead of saying, call me, text me, email me, download the premier home searching tool to find out what your home is worth, see what's selling in your neighborhood, see up to second listing information. So we're doing some really, really cool things with Canva right now. And then, of course, ChatGPT. We've got accepted into the Microsoft Founders Hub. And so we're doing some really amazing things, kind of leveraging LLMs to help take a large set of data and distill it into a simple story on what consumers may be doing and or where they may be migrating to. So just a couple examples there where integrations are going to help us win on behalf of the agent and the consumer.
What is an LLM?
It's a language model. So the simple way of thinking about like what is AI, it's math, it's probability, it's the likelihood of a certain outcome. And normally, if an individual is searching, searching for a home for 6 months, the human brain is only capable of digesting the information that might be just on top. But every single listing is its own narrative, in my opinion. And every single touch point is extremely intentional and tells a story. And so what this technology is capable of doing, and it's doing it in a really, really powerful way, is take the whole entire encompassing photo and distill it into a few words for you. So it kind of takes the guesswork out of what you're trying to assume.
I love that you are really using technology to empower the best agents, not replace agents, as some, headline grabbing stories will tell you. Before we wrap up, I do want to get your take, if you would be so kind, on the shift that's happening in real estate and what you guys are doing to adapt to it. I will just say buyer broker agreements, for example, are coming down the pipe and likely are going to be required in every state. First point of contact in theory, and a lot of times that is on a mobile device. So are you following the NAR things that are going on, and what are you doing technology wise to enable an agent to solve that problem?
Yeah, absolute tidal wave. And I think the dust is still settling. In the moment of crisis is truly like a hidden path to success, though. And we want to kind of embrace this quote unquote problem just as an opportunity. I think a lot of the headlines have kind of been a little clickbaity, and you really need to dive deep into really understanding the fundamentals of what's taking place today. And I think like a simple example of what we're doing, commissions can't be displayed on the MLS anymore, but they can be displayed on your own office website. And so some would say that your own personalized application is a representation of your own website. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're going to be able to include the field of what a buyer's compensation can look like on a particular listing. Mm-hmm. And so one of the unique things is, some people think exclusivity is a poor customer experience. At times, exclusivity could actually be a remarkable customer experience. Think about Stranger Things on Netflix. And so one of the things that we like to do is really kind of be the change in the industry and make sure that we're hearing the voice of our tens of thousands of agents who are going to lead the charge. And so, being able to include fields like, buyer's compensation on a particular listing is something that we already have in place.
I love it. I love the forward thinking and the adaptability for sure.
Yeah, I think what's really key in this environment, especially where I think you guys are well positioned, is buyers agents especially, are having a difficult time, some of them, articulating what their value is, right? And so here's this app that automatically says, I'm different from other agents because here's your personalized experience vis-a-vis me. I think that's really key. So I think this sea change, what do you say, tsunami and dust settling? So I think that I think after the mud, after the wet mud is then cleared away, I think you guys are really set for a great really great positioning.
It's really a unique time. I think real estate agents get kind of a tough rep at times. Like I've seen it so many times where it's like, why am I paying this much for commission? What are they doing? The house sold in a day. It had 15 offers. There are so many invisible things that are running from the start until the finish, in which I just think we have to do a better job of displaying, documenting, and putting out there into the public light.
You've created a platform in which agents can put themselves out there and tell their story in a very unique and remarkable way. And I do want to plug, if anyone listening wants to learn more, HomeStack.com, direct where to go. Anywhere else that we can point them for you gentlemen?
HomeStack.com is perfect. Follow us on social, HomeStack apps. That's on X. That is on Instagram. That is on Facebook as well.
I love it. I love the disruption. And I do want to, we have to continue this conversation offline, but for the sake of time, and we'll get some more juicy tidbits and we'll put them on social ourselves. But thank you, Will, Robert. I greatly appreciate you both and everything that you're doing for our industry. And I can't wait to see where you guys go, because I'm definitely a bit of a fangirl at the moment.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Hillary. Thanks, Spencer.
Join us next week as we launch another episode of Own It.